All right, hi, this is Eric Stromquist and Ken Smyers. We're here at the KMC Genius Summit in Chicago. And I don't know about you, Kenny, man, my name and Genius are usually not used in the same sentence, so I am absolutely thrilled. We're here with Tim Vogel, the marketing director at KMC Controls. So right off the bat, buddy, thanks so much. Great job so far.
Yeah, we're glad you guys are here. We got over 100 people here, customers and partners, so we're thrilled to have the event, and this is a great location. People love it.
Well, it is a great location. We're at the Langham Hotel, which is like, if there's such a thing as a 5-star hotel, this is like a 15-star hotel. Mm-hmm. Right, my wife and kids and everybody at Stromquist and Company, if I show up missing, I'm hiding out in one of the rooms here. I don't want to leave, man. So as usual with KMC, everything is top hat.
All right, Tim, so for our community, Controls Trends community that might not know, tell us about KMC Controls.
Sure. So KMC Controls is a building automation company that's been in business for over 50 years. Started all the way back with pneumatics, and now we're working all the way up to an advanced IoT platform. One of the hallmarks of our company is we're privately owned, third generation, and we're also an American-made company, and we pride ourselves on that.
Certainly.
Yeah, born in the USA, and Kenny, you and I have been around the industry for a long time, and I mean, we have worked with KMC Pneumatics forever, so you know if you got KMC, it's going to work. You guys have big-time products, and I say small-town values, small-town values, meaning more like family values, traditional. You guys do what you say you're going to do, and you know, you're all about getting it right. You guys have name branded so many controls for so many other people, especially with the pneumatics, and now we're at the cusp of IoT. And Kenny and I remember being out about 4 or 5 years ago with at Realcomm Ibicon, where Dell and Cisco and Intel and all those people showed up, and we were all sort of freaking out, thinking they're going to come into the smart building space and take it over. You guys, instead of being afraid of that, decided you go partner with these guys. Tell us about your approach.
That's right. So all those companies, Intel, Dell especially, they have a high level of expertise in the IT world. We have a high level of expertise in the OT world. And so what they were looking for is they're looking for collaborators and people that want to be early adopters. So we wanted to be collaborators. We raised our hand. We wanted to be first adopters. And so that's what we did. Our mission is to provide innovative and intuitive solutions from responsive and supportive people. And in order to do that, we got to be looking ahead. And that's exactly what happened. It was the opportunity that came to us, and now we have our IoT platform, KMC Commander.
Well, it's fantastic. Now, to put it in really concrete terms for our listeners out there, this is a huge business opportunity. Hopefully we can get Rick Lisa from Intel to talk about it, because he's talking about a $1 trillion industry around IoT and sensor data. And out of that $1 trillion, the hardware is only going to make up 5%. And I think what we're learning at this show, Kenny and Tim, is that KMC is trying to position their clients with the opportunity to participate not only in that 5% out of the $1 trillion, but the other 95%.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of money, and a lot of our customers are used to service agreements, service contracts, and this is just an extension of that. Now you're going to go in and help businesses solve simple problems, and so if you just take that mentality and you go in, you help small businesses solve a little problem. Now they could expand as budget allows.
And what was the term that Rick Lisa used, Kenny, today about it selling their managed services? So the opportunity is in managed services, and that could be, and, you know, as Kenny and I have talked about on the show a lot, it's really operational excellence, creating a better environment for your clientele, just the building owners are looking for.
Well, I really have to say that this is an opportunity that a lot of people are slow to come to the table and realize. In other words, everybody's a little bit afraid when you move the cheese, you know, how this disruptive is going to be negative. Well, what we learned early on was that this is a very positive impact, and the sooner you get on board with this technology, the more opportunities. The earlier you'll be a partner with somebody that really needs these services. So the IT's here, the IoT's here, now we need the feet on the street, we need the connection. And the Commander really does that, by the way. Very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all a matter of starting small with something you understand. So one of the things we're talking about is variable volume and temperature systems. Wrap your head around that, and now immediately you're going to see opportunity to connect other things.
Well, I tell you what, you guys are teaching us how to sell it. You got a great sales professional that's telling us how to talk to customers about this, get them to adopt, to take that first sort of jump, if you will. Because at the end of the day, it is a business, and the only way any of us survive is we have to get stuff sold. You guys got a great solution. You're making it easier for your clients. You're providing a great product for the end users. So, well, listen, any chance we can talk to some of these IoT whiz kids, like from Intel and some of these other places?
Absolutely. Let's go find them.
Let's go get them.
Let's get them. So we got Luis Alvarez here, Alvarez Technology Group out of California. Luis, your keynote in the event, you're helping us with the breakout session. Tell us a little bit about where you see IoT going and where you see KMC Commander fitting into that whole process.
IoT is evolving. I mean, it's changing quite a bit. And, last year when we were talking about this subject, we said there's going to be something like 50 billion devices, and by 2025, now they've already ramped that up even higher, because the reality is everything's going to be connected that can be connected. And the idea of using sensors, measuring things, I mean, we do it as people all the time anyway. How many times do we look at our Fitbit or we look at our smartwatch to see how many steps we took today, or how many calories we burnt, and we want to know all these metrics. And as business people, connecting our offices, connecting our workplaces to make us more efficient and more effective is not going to stop. If anything, it's going to continue to accelerate.
And so one of the biggest things about an IoT platform for us is the three pillars. It's open, it's secure, and it's scalable. And that's exactly what KMC Commander is. Can you talk a little bit about the security aspect? Because that's a concern both from IT professionals, but then also OT guys that may not have a full understanding of the security aspect.
Well, you really need to build security into the product from the ground up, which I know you guys are doing as part of your development. And it's only recently that security has become a bigger and bigger deal for IoT companies, especially companies that make sensors that report information back in some fashion to a central controller or to something like a commander. Those companies haven't really been thinking about security as an issue. And what you're going to find is, as these systems are connected to the typical back-end IT systems, where security is a big deal, the IT departments, the CIOs, they're going to say no. They're going to say, until you can show me that this system is secure and that I don't have to worry about this being an avenue of hackers getting into our systems, I'm not going to let it be on my network.
That's right. All right. Well, Louis, thank you so much for being a part of our event. I'm glad you're here. We're all glad you're here, that you came back for a second time. So, Eric, let's go ahead and see who else we could find.
Tim has set me up with two really great guests here. I got Rick Lisa here from Intel, and Richard Newberry. You probably recognize, if you're with the control tennis community, Richard is the president of KMC Controls. All right, so, man, Rick, you blew us away today with your presentation. Intel is getting involved with the smart building control space. Talk about what you do for Intel, your title, and sort of how you are engaging the community here.
Yeah, I'm the director of IoT sales and marketing here in the United States, responsible for all of our business development activities in all the vertical industries we address from an Internet of Things perspective.
I know the first time I saw you was at Realcomm Ibicon. I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, or maybe 2014. And I think it was the first time you and Cisco and Microsoft and everybody else sort of showed up. And I got to tell you, coming from the OT systems integrator sort of standpoint, we were all sort of shaking with our boots. We're going, here comes this big giant. They're going to come in and they're going to take our cheese away from us. And I think a lot of people are sort of freaking out about that. But this guy right here had a little bit different approach. Richard, instead of sort of running away from this, you had a little different approach. Tell us what you guys did.
Well, as soon as I saw what Intel was doing, I went to Rick and I said, we want to be an early adopter, because we saw what was happening in our industry and we wanted to be first to market.
Well, it's really, really cool that you did that. And, Rick, in your presentation today, you were talking about the $1 trillion market that's being created by 2020. Tell our community a little bit about what that market is.
Yeah, as we move forward with connected infrastructure, smart infrastructure, what you're starting to see is an opportunity being built around managed services. And managed services, quickly is this idea that we take data from devices and buildings, we move it through a point of data aggregation to a place where we can then do applications and analytics on that data that drives value and services back into the business itself and into the enterprise. I think that that managed services opportunity is really the key to Internet of Things. It's really the future that we're trying to enable. As I think Harvard Research stated in 2020, the $1 trillion that will be created, 95% of that is on the services aspect of the market opportunity, and 5% is in the hardware. So what we're learning quickly is it's what we enable the hardware and the software to do for the user is where the value gets driven. And what we're encouraging the market to do is see the solutions we're building with guys like Richard, how they can get into that game more quickly.
Well, I think one of the statements you made, which was interesting, is, and I think, sensor and big data and all that are buzzwords that our community has heard for a long time, but now it's really coming to reality. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the sort of disturbing things I heard, was concerned a little bit, was that corporations are using this from a corporate enterprise level down, which on one hand would maybe mean people like us would get cut out, but I think it's quite the opposite with Richard and his team.
Yeah, it is. One interesting thing, we talk about this all the time with our channels and with our sales teams, is that this idea of implementing managed services is not really a simple concept. It's really actually complex. But what corporations are learning is that having Internet of Things opportunities develop as little small pockets of opportunity don't drive the scale required to really, make the investments worthwhile to drive the ROI back into the corporation. So what they really want to do is start approaching it from a corporate agenda so that you actually see a full picture strategy. And then with the full picture strategy, look for those areas of immediate impact. The key is that corporations are struggling with how to do this. I think they know what they want to do, but the how is what's really confusing to them. And so there's this sort of unprecedented resurgence in the value of consultative marketing and selling that allows us to actually give those organizations the tools they need to move it forward. And by creating, solutions like KMC Commander, we've built that platform now that allows companies to scale into that services environment and do it quickly with purpose. And no better organizations to do that than the domain experts that have lived these problems every single day for the last however many decades.
And I think the piece that I got, which is really refreshing with that, is you guys aren't interested in taking the building automation piece away. You're looking to hop on a platform like Richard's and then sell your services, your managed services around it. So it's a great opportunity for the people in our industry.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that Intel is a technology company that enables these capabilities. We're not in the market to be Richard's business or to be one of these integrators' businesses. We want to make sure that the integrators and the OEMs, the product solution providers, have everything they need to build the services opportunity that we're describing. But Intel ourselves, we're not trying to displace any equipment manufacturers or any integrators in their domain expertise. We're just trying to make it easier for them to get the job done and to win the business and to grow the opportunity.
So Richard, now you've partnered with both with Intel and Dell. So you've created this product that's approved by both of them. So I think for our community, the systems integrator on the street, if he's working with you guys, there should be some pull-through opportunity. I mean, in an ideal situation, Rick, it seems like your team's out there, they generate interest at a corporate level, and all of a sudden they go, okay, we got these 10 buildings in Tampa, Florida that need to be deployed, and then you guys are going to be calling up your partners, right?
Right. So we're really excited because with Intel, we have access to 4,500 salespeople that are talking about KMC to the C-suite. And that's going to provide an incredible number of opportunities for our channel and for KMC. And what Commander really does for them is it's going to give them an opportunity to build a managed service. It's going to be better margins, and it's going to optimize their growth for the future. Right now, everybody needs to realize you're a tech company, whether you know it or not. You're a data company, whether you know it or not.
Well, I think you are. And, Kenny and I, we've talked a lot on the Smart Buildings podcast about the fact that commercial buildings, real estate's a competitive business, right? And if you can have your building where the people in there are more productive, through better control, better lighting, then you can market differently. And just like us, they've got competitive pressures. And that's one of the stuff you're seeing too, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I'll tell you, we have definitive results now that prove that a better building drives higher rates of retention and higher levels of worker and occupant satisfaction. And when you can get the people focused on the work and the production of output, as opposed to whether they're hot or cold, or whether the elevator's on the right floor, or whether the access gates and controls are going to open or not, when everybody feels safe, secure, and comfortable, they focus on the work. They don't focus on the other things that disturb them through the day. So with that higher level of focus, people want to stay in those facilities. They want to stay in those buildings. The higher levels of retention and the operational efficiencies we're delivering lead to more cost-effective rates of occupation, in terms of them being in the facility, what it costs them to actually stay in the facility. So there's benefits all over the place, and we're seeing this as a major opportunity to build a business.
Richard, what we're saying, I think you are too, is, unless you're in California or maybe Texas, the energy savings, that's really the icing on the cake. It's the operational savings, like Rick says, that does that. And your Commander is sort of ideal for service contractors and people like that. Talk about how your product, specifically the Commander, can help a service contractor that maybe has 100 contracts or 50 contracts. Why would they be interested in your product, outside the fact that Rick's going to bring them a lot of business?
Yes. Well, actually, Commander, again, is that platform that they can put into their customer's facility, an existing customer or a new customer, that they can then provide additional services. They can monitor the energy. As you probably know, because we've talked about it many times, there are 5 million buildings in the United States that don't have any smarts in them. And buildings use the most energy in the United States, and they're very inefficient, 15 to 30% inefficient. So the opportunity is enormous to save. It's incredible, the opportunity. So energy savings, operational efficiencies, occupant comfort. Commander is a platform in which you can start with a small problem after you've understood the whole solution, and then you can build on that. And you can make your building smarter over time as your budget allows. And as we say, we don't want smart buildings or intelligent buildings, we want genius buildings. And Commander's the platform to do that.
No, agreed. And I tell you, I think the good news for our community anyway is, look, there's a $1 trillion freight train that's coming down the tracks. It's going to be here at 2012. 95% is going to be managed services. 5% is going to be hardware. I think that, the great thing about you guys, you can participate in both those markets through what you guys are doing, right? Because you basically get to focus on what you do well, putting the systems in, making them work. If you're a KMC partner, then, you're on the list, right?
Right.
All right. Well, there you go. There you go, guys.
Control Trends community, we are on the IoT bus. And Tim, where's our next stop?
So right now we're going to talk to our partner and friend, Tom Niederman from Dell.
Awesome.
So KMC is backed by their fantastic solution from a platform standpoint, the product capabilities of Dell, the backing of built on Intel-based gateway, makes this platform second to nobody.
So, Control Trends community, think about this. You've got partnerships here with the most recognized names in the world, teaming up with KMC. So we have Dell, Intel, and KMC putting together an IoT product that's really going to drive solutions. Tim, tell us about the scalability, because even though these are big names and you're thinking it must be expensive, it must be a big job, tell them about some of the starting points you told us about.
Sure, absolutely. So one of the great things about the solution from Dell is that it's a ruggedized gateway. All right, so you can put it in a lot of different industrial platforms and environments. And because of that, now you could solve a lot of very simple problems, no matter where it is in the building, and then you could build that out as the opportunities arise or as the budgets allow.
Very scalable, very scalable. So the future looks great. So what markets? So when you talk about markets, we talk about MUSH markets, municipalities, universities, schools, and hospitals. Also, we're seeing this as an industrial. This has an industrial application. So it also can fill some of the big gap. We know that there's about 80% of the buildings out there that have little or no control. So for a contractor that is hearing this for the first time, tell them how they would get involved.
Sure. So we're all about starting simple, starting small. So start a project that you know you can wrap your hand around or your hands around. The project that we are talking about are variable volume and temperature, basic zoning systems. You start with the zoning system, and then while you're there, look around and say, all right, what else is their power going to? What else is going on? And what can we connect to? What do we need to track, trend, trigger, and all that?
Which is very interesting, because a lot of this applications, you'll find out later on that you never intended for the Commander to be working in this capacity, but because it has the ability to monitor any point anywhere in the world, the applications will continue to build. So another question for Dell is, one of the most important things I think in our industry is collaboration. And what you all have done is something extraordinary. You have everybody put aside the swords and the risks and came into this with an opportunity to collaborate. And tell us about the accelerated timetables you guys have taken us from a concept to actually selling it.
So we've developed a partner community in the IoT space within Dell. KMC is one of our founding partners that's offering the solution. We've built out a EdgeX Foundry, which is an open consortium at the Linux Foundation that we're writing standards, not Dell per se, but the community is writing standards from the sensor to the gateway and gateway back. So that is 3 years of IP that the open source community can take advantage of. A point to the commander in the product, the gateway, the Dell gateway that it's on, those common solutions that they're doing is base table stakes. The nice thing is there's enough horsepower in that gateway to add future functionality on. So when you get it installed, the world is your oyster to build out more applications on.
Another opportunity I had at the summit here has been to go to the cybersecurity presentation, which again is very eye-opening. That's a great update, and KMC has taken strident measures to secure the commander. Tell us about some of those measures.
Absolutely. So a lot of it is building off of what Dell has provided as far as a framework with control of the BIOS and making sure that you guys are providing us a stable operating system that is also containerized, and so which is Ubuntu Core. So that's been great, and through that partnership, we've been able to make huge strides in the security aspect of the whole platform. Some other security aspects of it include push communication. So the box is always going to call home. So if something out there in the world is trying to talk to the commander box, it's not going to happen. It can't get in. It's going to open and close a port that's very, laser focused on one particular server. So there's a lot of security built in there.
On the security standpoint too, other partners have standardized solutions as software loads that can be built on top of Commander to further secure the application and or use case. So
Great. It was a wonderful. The cybersecurity portion by itself was worth coming to the summit, because I think it's a growing importance, and it has ramifications that if you don't pay attention to it and you just ignore it, but having a manufacturer take the lead and bring a product that's more secure, built secure, and some of the things they talked about. Will that cybersecurity presentation be available?
So the cybersecurity panel, along with almost all of our sessions, are going to be available. Just keep an eye out on our social media platforms and our blog, the KMC Genius blog, and so all that will be available.
Okay. So, hey, man, what would a conference be without Therese Sullivan from Building Context, who is here at the KMC conference? Therese, it has been awesome. What have been your takeaways so far?
Takeaways so far, first of all, KMC is just like Silicon Valley, just like my home. It started in a garage, and you have Richard Newberry, which is kind of like Steve Jobs. He's rounding up all these tech people from Dells and Intels, and he's getting them to do it his way, in a way. So I'm feeling right at home here.
So, it's kind of cool because, among other things, they sort of educated us to what the market potential is with Rick, Lisa, and the guys from Dell. And this is stuff that you've been talking about a lot, Therese, with your thing from Silicon Valley about the opportunity of IoT. I didn't realize it was so huge, $1 trillion by 2020. We've also been motivated. We had some great speakers. Kenny, I want you to just sort of recap one of the speakers that impressed us both. And then we got taught how to sell the product. So it's like KMC seems to be creating a conference where they're showing you what the opportunity is, they're showing you how to get there, and they're motivating you to get there. So I guess, Therese, starting with you, Rick's statement about the $1 trillion IoT opportunity, I mean, you've been tracking that for a while, haven't you?
Right. I like to use a slightly different vocabulary for people that are tired of IoT. Some of us are. He says, you hear IoT, read in that it is connecting your building for managed services. Managed services to me means all the big Accentures and Boston Consulting Groups. They're going to want to figure out how to use the data that we're figuring out how to capture in our buildings. I thought that was interesting, and he was saying that's 95% of the opportunity.
Well, and I think I enjoyed the keynote speaker, Michael Asherhoff, a former Navy commander, and I think what we got to hear was we got it rejuvenated, that the most common word in the English language is no, or that's the way we've always done it. And this gentleman used his personal experience in the Navy, a career navalman, where he took the worst ship and made it the best ship in 3 years, and won the awards. And has these personal testimonies and the love of the people that served under him, that he motivated the crowd. I think everybody gave him a rounding ovation. But what he did was he I think he motivated us all that there's a great opportunity with this technology. We still have great challenges out there. We have 80% of our buildings out there that are not very connected or smart at all, probably thermostat level. And we now have opportunities, but it takes a motivated leader to get people moving, to give them, enable them, and to give them the technical training they need, and then to give them the support, and then let them off leash, and then they're going to take your company to the next level.
Right, and I think what's cool about him is you can be a motivated leader, but if you're not using the right techniques, you're not going to be successful. So not only was he talking about the motivation, he was giving you the step-by-step as this is how you can build a winning team, which I think is really great. So, Dries, what's up at buildingcontext.me?
Buildingcontext.me. I'm here with KMC today, so that's very fun. We just keep integrating more companies, more industries. So I'm working with Ken Sinclair. Shout out to Ken Sinclair.
Shout out to Ken Sinclair.
Yes.
See you.
Building Context has been working closely also with New Deal, newdeal.blog, Anto, and Jim Lee, who are instrumental in that. We're going to be announcing a Cabo white paper that I participated in on Monday night. And it's people want to understand this, and that's what Building Context has always been about.
Great job. One thing else I want to say is that the cybersecurity sessions we had here at the KMC Summit, again, we're seeing a different approach where manufacturers working with the top names in the business, Intel and Dell, to produce manufacture a unit that's protected from the back end. And the security measures that are built into the Commander really make us all feel as though we're getting progress on this nebulous cybersecurity.
Oh, I was going to say, too, that at multiple sessions that I've been in, one of the hats I wear is as editor of the Haystack, Project Haystack magazine, and multiple sessions have been talking about Haystack, the importance of tagging. It's definitely getting into the zeitgeist, and KMC is a leader in that.
Cool. Kenny, can you spell zeitgeist for us? No, just teasing.
C-E-I-T.
Man, it's been a great 2 days. A special, man, great job, Tim. Tim Vogel, KMC's marketing director, set this up, man. It's been awesome. The question for our control trends community, if you would rather be a commander instead of responding to a commander, how do they get involved with your products?
Sure. So just visit us at www.kmccontrols.com and watch us on social media. We're going to be talking a lot about these use cases and telling stories. We've invested heavily in video, so you're going to see more and more of those. If you want to get a flavor of what Commander's like and how easy it is to use, we have a 10 video series, maybe even more by the time they're watching this, taking you through beginning to end. How do I set it up? How do I license it? How do I hook things up to it? How do I customize the dashboard, set up cards, decks, all of it.
You bet, my friend. All right. Woohoo! Hang on. Technical thing. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Woohoo! There you go. All right. Yeah.